Well, hello everybody at the 1860 Club. It's indeed a fantastic pleasure to have with us this morning Dick Telford. Good morning, Dick.
How you going there, Lee?
I'm excellent, thank you. You haven't aged a bit in almost 50 years.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure my wife would say that, but anyway, thanks very much.
It's hard to believe 50 years almost has gone by, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's the quickest 50 years I've had, I can tell you that right now.
You came to Preston in 1972, but there's a bit of a story before you came to Preston with your cricket. You went to Northcote High, just down the road, of course, and then went to Fitzroy and university, and you finished up playing 20-odd games between 64 and 68. Have you got good memories of the experiences at both those clubs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, cricket and footy were the only things that were, that were on my mind for during high school. In primary school, funnily enough, I didn't get a chance to play one single game of cricket or one single game of football because I went to a little school at the Melbourne University. Okay. And that was a teachers' college practicing school. In my class, we had 6 kids. We couldn't get a team. We had actually 4 or 5 kids in each grade. Mm-hmm. And so I never played a single game of any sport until I went to Northcote High School. So I had a terrific time in secondary school, being introduced to what it was like to play a team sport and football and even doing some cross-country running there that I found I was okay at without having trained anything. And basically that period of Northcote High School, then Fitzroy asking me and 1 or 2 others from the school to go down and practice it down the road with Fitzroy, and then play with them in the thirds and we won a premiership in the thirds, and then off to university to have a few years there in the seconds, mainly in the seconds, and then quite a few games in the first, I guess, and that was just a fantastic experience. Just loved every minute of it, Lee. Every minute of it before Jack Potter actually asked me to come down to the Preston Cricket Club. So
that's how you got to Preston, through the outgoing coach.
It was, yeah. I just got a call. It's been the story of my coaching career. I've never ever applied for a single coaching job, not once. And with the 2 coaching jobs I had at Preston, I got a call. How would you like to come down and coach the club? Simple as that. Oh yeah, give me a few minutes to think about it. Yep, okay, that sounds good. and that really, with Preston Cricket Club, that's what happened. Jack Potter, whom I knew through phys ed just a little bit. I remember I did a teaching round, I think, and Jack Potter was the phys ed teacher there, and we used to go out from Melbourne University when I was doing a diploma of phys ed in the early days, and would have been 1963 and 1964. I knew Jack Potter, of course. He was just a phenomenal sports person, and I was rapt to go out and see him out on that teaching round. And it wasn't until, starting off, at Preston, or when he left Preston, that he gave me a call and said, how would you like to come down and coach the club? He must have already talked to the committee and all those sorts of things, because it was a sort of a done deed.
Yes. And you came down 72, 73, and in your first year won the batting average, 460 runs, which is a power of runs at Preston, where the grass was pretty low in the outfield and the wickets were pretty slow.
Yeah, I was never ever particularly happy with the way I played at Preston. When you're captain and when you're coach, you're expected to do pretty well. And I wasn't a Jack Potter or anything like that, of course, but I was never really happy with the way I played. And one of the reasons was that I was never coached properly. I had some pretty good coaches in name, like Frank Tyson at university and, George Tribe. But both of those blokes didn't know how to bat anyway. So, one was a great left arms googly spinner, who's a terrific guy. And we all know about Frank Tyson. He used to scare the hell out of me off about 2 strides in practice. I've never seen anyone with such a quick arm. Right. And I remember watching Frank with a scorebook in my hand when I was, I don't know how old I would have been, perhaps 10 or 11 or 12, at the MCG when he got, I think he got 7 for 57. I just remember Frank Tyson bowling. I was right next to the scoreboard at the MCG, and he was bowling these huge outswingers that were so quick. So I think of the 757, you have to go back in the school books and have a look at this. And I don't even know if I got that right, but it was about that. Most of those 57 runs were just stick through slips. And he just had this umbrella field. No one could hit him. And he was the Australian batsman he was playing against, or he was bowling against, were the top batsmen, absolute top. I think it was Bob Simpson, those sorts of fellows, that sort of era. But he was just phenomenally quick. And he hurt his back, and that stopped his career. And I think he had a bowling average of around 20 or something like that when he finished at Melbourne University, where he became coach. I think he was an English teacher at Carey Grammar at the time. He used to come and bowl to us at training, and seriously, he'd walk up with about 3 steps because of his back and just go whoosh. And they work so quick. They'd shock you how quick he was. And I don't think he was bowling off 18 yards or anything. He was bowling properly. But no one taught me how to bat, and I don't reckon I ever batted correctly in my whole career. I had huge errors and played the wrong way, but I managed to get a few runs here and there. That, probably just because I had a reasonable eye, and that's about it.
Well, good enough to win the batting average. You walked into a reasonably good team. We made the semi-final that year and went out against Les Jocelyn's Williamstown team. But we picked up a couple of good players that year, Jeffrey as one. He added to our side with Eddie Ruttenfeld's. What do you remember about those two? Well,
I remember those two as they made me look good as a captain and a coach. Let's face it, they were very, very, very good players. Eddie Ruttenfeld didn't move the ball around a great deal, but just a little bit enough. He wasn't quick, but he was accurate. When there was a weakness that a batsman had, for example, if it was, a foot and just short of a length outside the off stump, he'd be able to put it there any time he liked. And you get that little bit of movement away, a little bit of movement in occasionally, but not huge, not like some other players that were playing sub-district cricket at the time. And he never ever failed.
Yes.
So he was just so reliable. With Dave Jeffries, he was just phenomenal in that grade. And when he came down, and I think he came down because Paul Collins, one of my mates there, is playing there as well, of course. He was a good mate of Dave's. And when Paul said, I might be able to get Dave Jeffries down, I knew about Dave Jeffries, but I hadn't played against him. He was at North Melbourne. And I thought, well, that'd be fantastic if you get him down. I mean, that's exactly what we need. And he did come down, and soon he became the most feared player and bowler in the sub-district cricket. And he was tall and gangly, didn't have a smooth run-up or a smooth bowling action, but he was very quick, and, like Eddie, very accurate. And I always wondered why Dave hadn't gone further, because he was very, very capable of going further. Later on, I looked after the Victorian cricket team. He was in that class. Yes. He was in the class of being a state player, but they're the breaks people get.
Yes.
But he won the medal. He won the medal for the bowling average and best player in the sub-district association. So he made a name for himself, but always had that feeling he could have done something a little bit more than that.
Yeah. 73, 74, we went into Christmas having lost a few games, and finals were starting to get out of reach, but we managed to pick up an outright victory which put us back in, so we snuck into the finals. And you had a good final series, and we finished up winning the flag, the group final, and then beat Malvern in the crossover. seems an incredible time ago, but it was a great side we had that year.
That was a phenomenal year to win that competition. I don't know how many teams were in it. There was quite a lot that we actually would have been on top of. Yeah. I would have a guess and say probably 24 or something. I don't know, but it was a lot of teams. So to win that was a terrific feat for the team. As I got the stage at Preston, having played football there, that I was just expected to win. You know, every time I walked down to Kramer Street, football and cricket, I just expected to win. So it was more, we're going to win. Now, I've just got to make sure I do my bit, you know, and that was really what it was all about. So I was more worried about me failing than the team half the time because, you know, I thought, well, gee, you know, it was always good to, if we won, well, basically I hadn't failed if I was coaching or captaining or even just playing. But it was always, I always felt that, well, am I able to go do my bit? And there was always a bit of a lack of my own confidence in being able to stand up and do what I was supposed to do as a captain coach, particularly in cricket.
In the following year, 74-75, we got beaten in the grand final, but I have one really fantastic memory of you that particular year. You made a century against Baldwin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I feel far between, so I remember it.
I was batting with you at the time, early in the innings, and I think the first or second ball you faced, you actually straight drove the ball into the keeper. You looked down the wicket and just nodded your head like that. And Johnny Hall, who was the umpire at the time, said at tea when the protests were still going on that he gave you not out. He said, if you can't trust Dick Telford, you can't trust anybody.
Well, funnily, you know, I actually don't remember that. So there's two factors that might come into play. I've put it out of my mind because, you know, I shouldn't have done it, or I didn't hit it. If you reckon I hit it, well, then I probably did. That's interesting, but I honestly don't remember being out that ball, but I probably was. That's interesting.
You played a magnificent hand. I remember it vividly.